Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup Group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this Sunday evening via Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, just about an hour ago, we all witnessed the impossible. The New York Islanders won in a shootout. And not just any shootout, but the most improbable of all shootouts, the 0-0 after overtime shootout. So David Riddick comes up huge, gets a shutout. Joey Decord, even more huge, also gets a shutout, but he ends up losing because he gave up 2 shootout goals as opposed to 1. Maybe not the way everybody expected to see this second straight home game after the 7-game road trip. We're going to talk all about that. But everybody left happy. The Islanders currently, if you can believe it, are 2nd in the Metropolitan Division, 2nd in the Eastern Conference, and 6th in the entire NHL. I don't know how this is happening, especially after not being able to score a goal at home in two straight games. But, if you look at the standings right now, you'll smile. And there's a lot to be said for that. So I'm sure you're excited. We'll talk all about the shootout in a little bit. But talk me through your mental process as the Islanders end overtime 0-0 and go to a shootout against the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, it's we've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. Like, something clearly is going on here. Something is happening. There's something special going on the island. You can feel it in the air. You can hear it in people's voices and in the conversations you're having. You can see it on Patrick Roy's face. You can see it on the player's face. Like, there's something going on, and it's one of those things you can't touch or feel, but you can sense. And I've been pretty convinced that something was going on for a little bit now, but it took today it wasn't the 6-1 road trip where they go through Vegas, Utah, Colorado, Dallas in a 3-4 or 4-6 to really drive home that point. It was with 7 or 8 seconds left today in the third period, 0-0 game. The Islanders have a little bit of a breakdown, and the puck finds Ty Karche or Eli Tolvin, and everyone on the Kraken is the same player. So one of the Kraken that wasn't Jordan
Right.
Eberle.
Yeah.
And it finds him, and time slows down. And you're like, oh my God, it's happening again. Because if you remember last year, the Kraken scored a very late goal in a similar game, wasn't 0-0.
Yeah.
There was like a goaltender interference call that probably should have went our way that didn't. And we lose that game. But the puck finds its way to that player, and Big Save Dave makes a big save. And we get to overtime 0-0, and the shootout goes. And the Islanders not only do they never win shootouts anymore, but they never win that particular shootout. They lose that particular shootout a lot, like where they maybe score first and the other team comes back and wins. But they never win the shootout where they've got one guy left who's got to score to keep the game going, and then end up winning. So yeah, it took this 1-0 shootout win over the Kraken, this particular version of a shootout, to really make me believe like there's something wholly going on here with the Islanders, because watching Bo Horvat skate down the ice with needing to score to keep that game alive and to keep this kind of good run going and send everyone home happy, send us to the show happy. The Islanders just haven't come up in that spot for years. And I was watching the game. Me and Isla were just like, we were playing on the floor, and I was watching him skate down slowly, and I'd already got up. I was like, all right, this game's over. Like start cleaning up and get ready to get her ready for bed. And when he scored, I was like, okay, I'm like floored. I'm just so floored in a good way. And now I'm just convinced that what's going on right now is real. It's special. And I can't wait for more. I can't wait for them to play again.
Yeah, well, you won't have to wait too long because they're coming up in a couple of days. There are some not so great things to talk about. We'll get to them in a few minutes as well. We're going to talk about the 2 final games of that 7-game road trip that were both victories. We'll talk about the game that preceded tonight's game that was not as much fun as this one, at least in the end. They were both very similar during the games, unfortunately. And then we're going to talk about the week coming up, which is another slate of big games. And maybe we'll throw in some fun stuff towards the end. We'll see how long this goes, and get to maybe some Thanksgiving stuff and some, ragging on our rivals as we like to do. But before we dive into all of that, reminder that we are on Patreon, patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Membership gets you ad-free episodes, bonus podcasts, written posts, chats with us, and more. You could try a 7-day free trial of our country club tier, or just join for free to get our weekly release calendars. Stay tuned in the second half because there is a ton of stuff coming out this week on the Patreon, and I want y'all to hear about it. So check us out any way you can, patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Okay. I want to start with the 2 road games first, then we'll get to the 2 home games. I know these road games feel like they happened 100 years ago, but they are kind of setting up for what happened this weekend. By now, you all know the Islanders won 3-2 in Dallas. It was all stars early. Riddick was huge again, like he was tonight against Seattle. Matthew Schaefer tries like a power move in that first period, doesn't go anywhere. There was no goals, but the Islanders did kind of turn it on late. At some point, Duclair hits Cal Ritchie in the slot. He scores his first goal as an Islander. Less than 2 minutes later, D'Angelo bobbles the puck near the boards, turns into a 3-on-1. Jason Robertson scores. This guy always scores against the Islanders. Third period is basically complete chaos. 5 minutes in, a game that had no penalties called whatsoever sees a double minor for high sticking called on Bo Horvat, who tripped backwards over a guy's stick, caught him up high, gets 10 minutes of misconduct. He for we don't know what. I'm assuming he mouthed off to the ref, said like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Ends up getting thrown out. So now, not only is it a 4-minute power play for Dallas, but now Bo Horvat is out for 10 minutes. This is basically the end of the game, at least if you're, like me. Dallas has the best power play in the league. What do? A minute into the power play, they give up a shorthanded goal to Kyle Palmieri and a 2-on-1 with Casey Zizekas. Makes it 3-1 Islanders. The Stars take a penalty. The rest of it gets killed. With 2 minutes left, with an empty net, Robertson bounces the puck off of Alex Romanov in front, makes it 3-2 Islanders. And now, again, you all know what happens here. Romanov is going into the end boards. Mikko Rantanen is behind him. He pushes Romanov into the boards. Rantanen gets 5 minutes and a 10-minute misconduct. A scrum breaks out. Mayfield is fighting guys. Mayfield was behind Rantanen. Glenn Gulletson, the Stars coach, is making the case that like Mayfield's skates touched Rantanen's skates, so Rantanen was off balance. Romanov now, we know, as was announced today, will be missing the next 5 to 6 months. He's going to be having shoulder surgery. That is basically his entire regular season. If the Islanders go to the playoffs, maybe we'll see him again, but that's pretty much it for Romanov, who was struggling this season, let's be honest. But this isn't really great. The Stars come very close to tying it, but Jason Robertson, again, just basically cannonballs into David Riddick. Wyatt Johnston scores, but it's immediately waved off. Rittich is completely hot. He's yelling that it was goalie interference and everything. The goal was reviewed. It was overturned. No goal. Islanders walk out of Dallas with a very contentious win. Patrick Waugh is yelling at Rantanen as he's leaving the ice, saying, "You're never going to finish the game in New York." This was the talk of the town, not Romanov getting hurt, not the fact that the Islanders were at that point 5-1 on their 7-game road trip and had just beaten the Dallas Stars. Riddick was great, made 22 saves, especially in the first. He was awesome. Jake Ottinger was really good too. The shots were 24-22 Dallas. The third period was absolutely infuriating, and it seemed like the refs and Stars fans were all out of their minds. That's a terrible, terrible recap because, again, I did forget a goal there, but this game is still making me mad like a week later. And after what happened with Mikko Rantanen last night in Calgary, or Saturday night in Calgary, where he injured Matt Coronado in a play different than the Romanov play, but still ended up getting 5 in a game. He now leads the NHL in penalty minutes. So if you're going to make the case that he's not that type of player, I got news for you. He might be, because this is not good. So that was a lot to take in. What are your thoughts on this game now, a couple of days later? It's the way it broke down. I put 100% on the referees. We almost never do this, but that was a very poorly refereed, officiated game. And it almost cost, it cost the Islanders Alex Romanov, and almost cost them a game, a win.
It went from being, it was such a bizarre game. We were talking about how weird stuff always happens on these like later puck drops, and it feels very solitary because it's late. A lot of people just go to sleep because they're normal, and you're alone in the dark in your den and watching these games and sorting through the weird shit that's going on like this, right. But you have no one to talk to, and you end up like talking to yourself or your dog, or if you got stuffed animals around you. And yeah, but if it's very solitary, and you wonder, it's almost like a fever dream a little bit too. Yeah. And this one certainly had that feeling to it, because Brendan Burke, I was happy he noted it on the broadcast, because I felt the same way. He's like, remember when this game had no penalties and we were like praising the officials? And I thought the same. I was like, this went from being a really well officiated game where they were letting everything go for both sides, and they were very consistent down the line, to, as you said, Bo Horvat gets tripped by a player. The penalty should have been on that player for tripping him. And as he's falling, he smacks him in the face with a stick. And from that point, the game just descends into chaos and goes that way. And honestly, the most important thing here is putting the Romanov injury aside, for the Islanders going forward in a positive way, I thought was Patrick Waugh. Like we talked a lot during Lou's tenure, where we're like, where's the Lou Lamoriello who would fire the coach with 4 games left and take over the team? He coached the Devils the day that Wade Dublowitz beat them in the shootout. Their head coach was Lou Lamoriello, because he had just fired Claude Julien, right? A couple days before. And the Devils were in like first place of the division. And he's just like, I didn't like the way that we were finishing the season. It felt like everyone was, when I think about Lou, that's the Lou that the Islanders sometimes needed and just didn't get. And I think it was part of why the fans grew frustrated with him. And with Waugh, I feel it's the same thing. It's, we know who Patrick Waugh is. We watch Patrick Waugh play as a player. We watch Patrick Waugh fight not 1, but 2 Detroit Red Wing goalies, including one who ended up playing for the Islanders, Chris Osgood. Like we know, we watch Patrick Waugh tell the Mario Tremblay, I no play for you ever again, right? Like
That's
this is Jeremy Roenick, the two rings in his ear
right.
line. Like we've been kind of waiting for that Patrick Waugh. We got him a little bit. I feel like in the first season, it was much more positive than it was because he was on his best behavior because he had to be after how his first 10 years in NHL head coach ended. But to see that Patrick Waugh come bubbling to the surface in that way was awesome. And I think there's probably a lot of players on the team who've been coached by Patrick Waugh for a couple of years now. Barzal, Horvat, Palmieri, Lee, Pajot, Sorokin. Think about the guys that are still around who probably waited for that Patrick Waugh to show up a little bit too. And he shows up and gives us an unbelievable quote. And the fact that the mics were just so hot and you could hear his clearly, English is his second language. So the way he constructs those sentences and those insults and those, let's be frank, threats. He started from like the middle of the sentence, then got to the beginning of the sentence, and then to the punchline. And that's what they got 2 points. They end up going at that point 5-1 on an impossible road trip. Right. Like this was a season-ending road trip waiting to end a season, and instead the Islanders did the exact opposite, and they started a we have something special going on here run. And to get this moment, I think meant more almost than any of the wins, because this team and a fan base, we love to rally around these kind of situations. What, like Barry Trotz, when he was like, through the island, you're going to have to go through the fucking island to his team that he just won the Stanley Cup with in the locker room, right? Like those moments, they really get you to circle the wagons. And with the Islanders, watching one of their most popular players and a very affable, tough guy laying down in a heap, and have their head coach then go chase Mikko Rantanen down the tunnel, a player that he coached when he was with the Avalanche. I think that meant a lot to everybody, and it's kind of what this fan base is all about, right? These are the moments that we live for. The New York Saints kind of stuff. Like there's always we love a rallying cry, and so I went to bed that night. Yeah, I mean it was pretty obvious at that point. I think that we all knew Romanov was probably done for quite some time, and that sucks, and they've got to sort that out now. But it didn't scare me like it would have, because each player on this team is now so fully bought in that they're going to do the 2% more that they need to pick up that slack and make sure that this thing doesn't get taken off the rails because of an injury. And it's, what's the craziest part is the way that I don't know if you've heard, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are going through an injury crisis. They became the first team in the NHL ever to go through an injury crisis, apparently, up there.
I know. It happens every year.
Meanwhile, the Islanders are doing their own thing, and it's just like, we're just going to go into Detroit in a couple of days and win. And they did. So I don't know. I felt really encouraged by that entire scene because it was insane chaos. It was like circus. The refs and stars and everybody was doing everything to take the Islanders off this game, and somehow they stayed on it. And not only did they stay on it, but we got a wonderful coaching clip out of it that's going to live with me for the rest of my days as an Islander fan.
Yeah, the clip, stayed with me too, and obviously, made a lot of rounds the next day. But what really got me was right after the game was over, and I watched the whole post game, and they talked to a bunch of players, and even Waugh too, after he'd calmed down. They all seemed really shaken by the Romanov injury. Like, it's easy for us to sit here and be like, man, Romanov's been terrible this year. And again, frankly, he's been a real liability for the Islanders basically all season. But to these guys, that's their friend. And like you said, he's like a tough guy, and he's lying there in a heap, and he's in a lot of pain. And I thought it was maybe his shoulder or his arm or his wrist, because that's kind of the way he went in. I guess it was his shoulder. Some people were saying collarbone. You're not really supposed to speculate, but it's impossible not to. And it turns out to be his shoulder. And they were really kind of shocked, I think, that happened. And the game itself had a shocking ending. And again, it was just very strange. And like Stars fans, I don't know any personally, but like they were really kind of going off and like trying to Zapruder film all this. And like, absolve both Rantanen and Robertson of two, frankly, pretty clear violations. I mean, again, Robertson just literally barreled into Riddick. And I know we're going to talk about a, goalie interference call in an Islanders game in a couple of minutes, but like that seemed pretty clear to me. Like like Ryan Pulock, I think, was in the area, but ultimately Robertson didn't really, have any control over him. So you just like ran in there, and that's going to get called back almost every time. So it was a highly tense. It was a pretty good game until it became a highly tense situation. And again, these refs, I don't know what you're thinking going 2 periods in 5 minutes without giving out a penalty, and then all of a sudden calling a guy for 5 and then ringing him up for another 10 for asking, what are you talking about? I just got tripped. That's a little much. And so that game just completely devolved into chaos in that third period. And it was a little weird to hear it all be talked about like nationally the next day or later on that week. So it was pretty strange, but at the end of the day, the Islanders did walk out with the 3-2 win. Bo Horvat, by the way, had the goal that I missed before. Completely forgot about it. I don't know where that went in my notes, but that was a pretty exciting game. And again, set up. So at that point, the Islanders in their 7-game road trip were 5-1. And you're like, I'll take that every day of the week. That's amazing. They got one other game, but at this point, I mean, you've already done the job. That's more than we really expected. But their next game was in Detroit, the final game of the road trip. I actually missed this one. It was the night of my daughter's school play. And in between, the intermission, I'm looking at my phone, and I think the Islanders were up 4-0 as the second act started. And I was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to worry about this. They would win 5-0 over the Red Wings. We could go over all these goals, but by now, this was the Shabanov coming out party. He hits Richie with a nice pass in the beginning, right off the bat. Quick shot, scores his second goal in as many games for the Islanders. That's crazy. Later, Richie wins a face-off right to Shabanov in a position in the slot, whips it through everybody, makes it 2-0. Third period, Shabanov's cherry on top, splits the defense, backhand roof job, 5-0. Fantastic stuff. Got a little bit rough at the end. Ben Sherratt and Mason Appleton, I tried to kill Scott Mayfield, I guess. I don't know. Dom called them sore losing village idiots in the Lighthouse Hockey recap, which is good enough for me. And at that point, it didn't matter anyway. Oh, yeah, D'Angelo and Marco Kasper got into a fight. But Sorokin was brilliant, 29 saves for his shut. He's one shutout behind Chico Resch for the Islanders' all-time lead. John Gibson was not good. Again, Shabanov was the story. He had 4 points in that game. Cizikas got the Iron Man helmet because it was easily his best game of the season at that point. Richie had 2 points, and that entire fourth line had a great game. Too bad they would not last much longer than that. We'll get to that, in a couple of minutes as well. Another lineup change coming up soon. But yeah, you watched this. I didn't. This must have been a cathartic experience, particularly again coming at the end of this gauntlet road trip that 2 weeks earlier we thought was going to end the season, and now you're coming home 6-1 after a dominating performance. Oh, by the way, the road trip started and ended with twin 5-0 shutouts, one at Madison Square Garden and one at Little Caesars Arena. So I don't think we would have guessed that was going to be the case, but I think we're all glad it was.
No, and you think back to just like when that road trip started, it started with the Islanders going into MSG on the heels of a
terrible game.
Their worst game of the season against the Wild at home. And when you looked at that road trip, we talked about it a lot, even in the weeks before they left for it, of how difficult it was. I think, honestly, if you constructed a feasible, realistic 7-game road trip for a team from the Eastern Conference to take, I mean, even a Western Conference team to take, the degree of difficulty on this road trip, 10 out of 10. Yeah. When you think about the spacing, the fact that they flew, so they start on the East Coast, they fly to the west, to the Wild West in Vegas, and then Utah back to back. Then they're 3-4 in Colorado, playing at altitude. An emotional game against Brock Nelson. Then they go 4-6 game to Dallas, and then a 5-8 game or whatever it would be for in Detroit. And they just rolled through it. They went 6-1. Like a successful road trip would have been coming back 500. I mean, even if we said a point under 500, we'd be like, well, what did you expect them to go 6-1? Yeah,
would have been great. Yeah,
right. Yeah, and not only do they come back with wins, but like there are some really galvanizing moments on this road trip, not just the Wah thing. The obviously the win at MSG was great. The way that they handled their business in with like some late theatrics in Vegas and Utah and in overtime, and Ilya Sorokin goes out there and comes home as the third most winning goaltender in Islander history. He passed Rick DiPietro, which seems impossible to me. But how about this? DiPietro played 318 games as an Islander, and Sorokin played 268. And obviously Rick played on a lot worse teams than Ilya did. But that one, when I heard that he was about to do that, I was like, good Lord, I can't believe that. It's both a testament to Ilya being, as you know, he's probably underrated at this point, how good he's been over the course of his Islander career. He's had some down moments, and they were recent, so maybe it's recency bias, but he's just been so good overall for them, and he's now an all-time great for the Islanders. I guess it's just Billy Smith and Chico Resch in front of him.
Yeah.
And when you look at even save percentage, Ilya is him and Varley are tied for third at .916, and the goalies in front of them played very much fewer games. Leonard and Dublowitz. Wade Dublowitz is the number 2 all-time goalie for Islanders in terms of save percentage.
Yeah. Robin Leonard is number 1.
Yeah. Doobie at .920 save percentage in 37 games for the Islanders is actually ridiculous. But so yeah, I mean, and then the road trip ends with a galvanizing win over the Red Wings, and then they kind of just beat the crap out of them at the end. And what's been really amazing about this is they played very well in a lot of these games, but they're winning games the way they need to win, and that's not the same way every game, and that's what's giving. There's a lot of things that are making me think about the 2018-19 season. The way the team's been talked about, the way they're winning, the goaltending they're starting to get, the fact that both goalies are playing really well, including an unassuming backup, this time being David Riddick. I got a text from somebody saying Casey Cizikas is reprising his role. But like that 2018-19 team, it's a different kind of person or line or defense pair or goalie every night. So that we had talked before the Stars game that the one thing that was giving us a little bit of pause, or the two things were the Romanov D'Angelo situation, the fact that there were too many psychos on defense at once, and then the fourth line. Right. And then that fourth line comes in, plays an outrageous game, and Max Shabanov turns into he's like a silent killer. He's a silent assassin. He's just small little guy with long hair. He's getting smoked into the boards. He's either getting smoked into the boards or putting the puck between his legs without looking. He's as I've said in the past, Matt Barzal should be skating around with a rose in his teeth, and Sorokin is very symphonic, and he's a orchestra conductor in his movements. Shabanov to me he's very Mask of Zorro,
Yeah.
He should be wearing one of those masks over his eyes instead of a visor. He should have his helmet on, the Zorro mask over his face, and
he's
just be skating around with a sword.
Or the new Hamburglar.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what he should be wearing, because he's a trip, man. He's quite a little spark plug, and to throw. So you got Cal Ritchie, a rookie, a more traditional rookie, right? High pedigree, first round pick, goes the Canadian junior route. You put him next to Casey Cizikas, the opposite of a rookie, probably is not making playing at all on any of the other 31 teams except for the one that he said he would lay down his life for. And then you have the wild card in Shabanov, the KHL Russian rookie that nobody knows what to do, and it just worked that game so well. And it was amazing to watch. It was a game to get swept up in. And what was wonderful about it too is the Islanders had it wrapped up, so I could turn on the first test match of the Ashes, which was equally as bonkers as the Stars game. So it was just I couldn't believe how much fun I had on this long road trip with the Islanders. and it's been a really long time. I mean, have they ever had a more impressive road trip in our time as a fan?
I don't think they've ever had a more impressive road trip in any time.
Right?
That was their winningest road trip ever. Was
Crazy. And against the equality of opponents
Yeah.
and like the junction of the season it was.
Yeah.
The things that are happening kind of around them at the same time. That was as successful a road trip as I've ever been a part of as an Islander fan. So I'm almost sad it's over. I'm like, go back out there.
Yeah, well, I was saying that after Saturday's game too. We'll get to that in a minute. But what's been nice about Shabanov and Richie, I'm glad you brought him up too again, is like seeing them grow in confidence. Like Richie is definitely playing with a lot more confidence now than he was at the beginning. Shabanov too, he tried a bunch of stuff against the Kraken. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But yeah, no, it's good to see him, kind of busting out and getting more comfortable with his spot and just taking more while he's on the ice, which is great because he can do a lot of stuff. You probably should minimize getting smashed into the boards, like you mentioned before too. But he's got a lot of skill and he can do a lot of stuff, and I think that he's going to be pretty successful. The other Max Siplikov is kind of receding into the background, but he got into tonight's game. We'll get into that in a few minutes also. But yeah, that's an emphatic way to win. The Red Wings had been hot coming into that game too, and then they immediately started winning again afterwards. So it was a bit of a bad night for them, but it happened. It's been happening a lot to teams who are playing the New York Islanders, which is kind of crazy. Also crazy is how many people listening to this, and it's okay if you're in this group, did not know that Rick DiPietro was third on the Islanders all-time wins list. Like, he's not a guy you would think, because like we sort of equate Rick to A, his contract, and B, his injuries. But that guy played a lot of games for the Islanders, even with those things. So yeah, he was third. I think Kelly Rudy is fourth, right? And so now Ilya Sorokin is third. And I got news for you. If Anders Lee, he scored the lone goal in Saturday's game against the Blues. If Anders Lee scores 18 more goals this season, which sounds about right for Anders Lee, he will be third on the team's all-time goal scoring list as well, having passed Dennis Potvin. So that list will read Mike Bossy, 575, Brian Trottier, 500, Anders Lee, 311. Should he get there this season? Like, these numbers are crazy. And like, these are guys that we didn't think ever would be passed. Like, I didn't think anybody would ever pass Chico Resch on the shutout list. I loved knowing that Chico Resch was the Islanders' all-time leader in shutouts, because it's just kind of a weird thing and it allows me to bring up Chico Resch. But now it's, we're like probably a week or so away from that happening. So it's really crazy. Yeah.
it's such a funny franchise, and that they had this glory era, and then everything else was just circus. So you get these funky lists, like the all-time wins list is hilarious, because you see like Al Arbor at the top, and then who's next? Jack Capuano.
By virtue of the fact that he coached twice as long as Barry Trotz. Right?
Exactly.
So,
it's just so that's just the type of team it is.
Funny.
And but yeah, I mean, see, hearing that and you can't put two more different goalies in terms of like their attitude and than Sorokin and DiPietro. I mean, completely different sports. I would have loved to watch them play one another. Be like, that guy over there is heavy metal. You can. He's got gel in his hair, and then there's Sorokin just like quietly going about his business.
one
shows
guy
up with
with
frosted tips. Yeah,
right. The one guy with the thick Boston accent, and the other guy who sounds like Latka Gravis from Texas. So it's a very, very mismatched couple. But anyway, so they complete this incredible road trip. The vibes could not be higher. They are back at home Saturday for a matinee game. It's Hockey Fights Cancer Day. There's kids all over the place. There's like, heartfelt messages for everybody, video packages. They show the kids in. They're talking to Matthew Darsh. They're taking pictures. They're doing media day. It's all beautiful. It's all lovely. And what do the Islanders do? They go out and lay a huge egg, and they lose 2-1 to St. Louis. That Ilya Sorokin, who is now third on the Islanders' all-time wins list for goalies, gives up a goal 45 seconds in to Braden Shen. A little bit of a defensive breakdown. Not the way you wanted to start this game. Not the way anybody wanted to start it. The air completely comes out of the arena, which had been white hot. at that point. The Islanders start getting a little bit more pressure, but there's no goals. They couldn't score in the second. Sorokin does come up huge on a 2-on-1 stop. Tony DeAngelo gives the puck away. Pius Suter gets behind him in front, scores to make it 2-0 St. Louis. Very quick shout out to the great Alan Furing for mentioning Pius Suter was a weird Islander, just like the podcast on the radio. We appreciate you, Alan. Thank you very much. We got to get you on the show one day. So that was really cool. I heard from a bunch of people. But the Islanders are down 2-0 going into the third. And you're just like, really, we're going to do this? They had some more chances. Shabanov again, right at the side. Great save by Jordan Binnington, who was absolutely fantastic in this game. Completely nothing. Couple of minutes left. Net is empty. Lee backhand in front makes it 2-1 St. Louis. There's life. Sorokin pulled again. Horvat's shot goes off of Justin Falk's skate and in, but is immediately waved off because Kyle Palmieri was called for goalie interference on Binnington. He was pushed by Falk, more so than Robertson. Jason Robertson was pushed by anybody in the Dallas game, but it was reviewed. It stood. Falk did get a double minor for high sticking Jonathan Drouin, who had one of those like swab things in his nose. I don't know how he's going to play like that, but they did get a couple of shots with time winding down, but they couldn't really get anything from it. Again, a very bizarre situation. Frankly, this time I didn't think Palmieri needed a goalie interference, the wave off of the goal. I didn't think he really interfered with Binnington, but what are the refs going to do? Sorokin made 20 saves. It wasn't really on him. The first goal, maybe, but again, Shen kind of split the D, and it was a nice shot. Binnington was outstanding. 28 saves for him. And I just wrote here, bullshit return game until the end. They tried, but it was just a bullshit game. They didn't have any jump. They were very flat. And we've heard now 100 times that the first game back from a road trip is one of the tough ones. And that may very well be true, but I don't know, man, that game left a really bad taste in my mouth. And I was really mad for the rest of the day. And I was madder that I was mad because of the road trip being so great that I was mad that I was mad. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes,
so it was just, it was not, it was predictable, but also like so deflating and disappointing. And again, that place was right from the place was vibrating. And then 45 seconds into the game, they're down 1-0, and it was just dead from that point out. Just absolutely not the right way to come back. What'd you make of this one? And how mad were you when it was over? And were you mad that you were mad?
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't say I was actually mad because, well, first of all, like we had a family party. It was a really nice afternoon. So that made it a lot easier to digest. But I knew going into it, I was like, look, the Islanders, if they lose this game, you can't be like, you guys got to make a promise with yourself that you're not gonna let it ruin your afternoon. And I was able to do that because I'm growing as a person. But what I mean, I was the hardest part was like the reality check that, oh, they're not going to win every game. I was like, what? They're not going to wait if they're not going to have these miraculous last second comebacks all the time. That's what's going on here. So like just getting, that was tough because I really was convinced like that this team just might win, rip 6 or 7 more in a row. And the other disappointing part was that the Islanders, when they had left for that road trip, they had lost 2 in a row at home. And they had the Nikita Zadorov thing where he called the place a library. Then a Minnesota Wild come and completely wipe the floor with them. And it was a library on a Friday night. And as you said, like the crowd's amped. It's a Saturday matinee. It's, just a truly one of the most emotional days of the season when you're in the building for Hockey Fights Cancer Day. And the team's level just didn't match the level of the crowd, and that was, it's always disappointing. But they just, if you had flipped the Red Wings game and the Blues game, for example, it would, you'd be like, the Red Wings beat the Islanders 2-1. You're like, well, whatever, it's last game of a road trip, and then they come back and they win against the Blues 5-0. And I feel like I'd feel the same way after had they lost that game in Detroit instead. Like, so what, it didn't bother me But what it did do was it made the Seattle game, for the first time this season, I felt real stakes in a game,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
talked about how one of the prevailing themes of the season is that they were coming into this year, and why it feels a lot like 2018-19 is they were coming into the season with very little expectations. In fact, like a complete blank slate. Nobody knew good, bad, ugly, fun. Nobody knew what to expect. But now they get that Red Wings game was the quarter mark of the season. They're in a playoff spot at that point. We're approaching American Thanksgiving Frege. You know what that means. And so it doesn't matter that the season didn't have expectations anymore, because we're now into the season. The expectations have now arrived that the Islanders should be in the playoffs and should be in a playoff race for at least for the rest of the season, because of the way they've started, and the way that the Eastern Conference has shaken out. That I would be wholly and bitterly disappointed if they find a way to rob us of some meaningful games in the spring by capitulating. So you can't really afford a 2-game losing streak, especially at regulation at home. So I was more focused on trying to keep my emotions in check for a November 23rd game against Seattle, more than anything, and being like, look, that tomorrow against the Kraken, it's a game against an opponent that it doesn't matter. Like they're not in your universe, but you need to find a way to win this game, because the stakes are real now. Like the Islanders they're not only in the playoff race, but they're in a divisional race. Like they're in a race. They are in it. And a 2-game losing streak at home against beatable opponents is just not acceptable when you're in these situations. So when you celebrate the road trip and how successful it was, and then you come home and you realize, okay, well, you've now foisted responsibility. With great road trip results come great responsibility, and they now have to wear that and meet those expectations that they've now put on themselves. And that game against the Kraken was really the first time I felt real jeopardy in a game, rather than just like the in-game roller coaster that you feel of ups and downs. Like this one felt like it would have some ramifications, and I would have gone to bed bitterly upset had they lost.
Yeah. Like that's one thing to be like, I don't have any expectations for this season, but yeah, once it's, we are now at the American Thanksgiving break, as you just mentioned, and like they're in this thing. Like they're not just going away. This team is, they aren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to have another loss I'm going to get to in a minute, but they want to be in the playoffs. Obviously they think that they have something to prove, and it's good when they do that. But that game against St. Louis was not the way to do that. It was really bad. And the other thing that made me really mad was that it started me thinking about UBS Arena. Last year, again, I was honest. I said a lot of times it feels like a food court with an ice rink in the middle of it. And people have been watching these road games. People are getting excited back here at home. You come back, they want to praise you and cheer for you. The place is absolutely packed. Again, a lot of kids there, and you lay an absolute egg. And I don't care how historically significant or, commonplace it is to lose your first game after your first road game back. I mean, you got to do something about that, man. You can't do that. And apparently Matthew Darsh had to sit down with Shannon Hogan on MSG before tonight's game, or the Kraken game, I should say, which I totally did not know was happening, and so I missed it. But apparently he made the point that they have to start winning games at home. And of course, I am 100% in total agreement. Let me ask you a trivia question. The Islanders have played 173 games at UBS Arena, including tonight's game. How many of those 173 games would you say they have won?
Oh, man, I'm actually afraid of this answer. 173.
Yeah.
I'll say, 85?
You're short selling them. They've actually won 90 games. Okay. Again, that includes tonight. I can do that much math. So they have, out of 172 games, they have won 90 of them, right? Which doesn't sound too bad. That means that they've lost 60, which, again, doesn't sound too bad, but they've also lost 23 overtime games. So they're really 90 and 83.
Right.
all time at UBS Arena, which is kind of terrible. Like it's your home arena should be better than a 50-50 coin flip for a win, right? Like you should ideally be winning most of your games there, and these guys just don't. Like they're barely over 500. And it just feels that way, doesn't it? Like doesn't the vibes just feel off a lot of nights? And again, they score 45 seconds into the game and all of a sudden everybody's just really quiet. And even tonight's game, listen, it was 0-0. Like it wasn't the most exciting game in the world, obviously, but like it really wasn't until the end of the game where people started getting up for stuff. And the only times that people seemed to get excited were when either Schaefer, Barzell, who's been a madman, by the way, I want to get to him in a few minutes, and to a lesser extent, Horvat are on the ice. Any other players in any other line, people are just quiet. Like they're just completely silent. And so people want a reason, and I'm not criticizing the fans, people want a reason to cheer for you. They want either goals or exciting play or great chances or, I don't know, fights or hits or something. And just too often the Islanders aren't giving them anything at home. And it's brutal. And when I saw that stat or that record, I was like, damn, it feels like that. It feels like they win almost as often as they lose at home. Like it's definitely not like, especially having now played in Dallas. They've already played in Carolina this year. They've played in Vegas. They've played in Colorado. These are like sort of House of Horror type places. They played at MSG. Like the Islanders, UBS is not one of those places. It's not like Carolina. It's not like Dallas. It's not a place you're afraid to go into. And they really need to make it that. And they, maybe tonight's game is a start of something like that, but because now they have 5 more home games here coming up. But like, I was just like, there's just something off about this, that they just don't dominate at home the way you really want to see a team at home. But again, I'm not like crazy. Like it does feel that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not like Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's not like it. And I think part of it is that in the seasons that the Islanders have played UBS Arena, the ones that they've made the playoffs in have been the fashion, the way that they've made the playoffs have been
right
by hook or by crook. And so
like
you're showing up to UBS Arena for the big quote unquote, the big games, and you're not, there's nothing relaxing about it. There's nothing, there's no party atmosphere because you're basically holding your breath until the final horn. A case in point would be that game against the Canadians 2 or 3 years ago. They won in overtime. The Sam Bolduc game when Sam Bolduc was the Canadians' best players. And and then Kyle Palmieri scored in overtime on a shot that from a really bad angle that I remember being like, don't shoot that goal. And that game was huge for the Islanders to get into the playoffs, but it wasn't until the game ended that the place sounded like an NHL arena should for, or the Islanders arena should for a big game. So I think that's part of it. And, we I don't want to go down the whole kind of, I don't know, not marketing of the team, but like the way the team presents itself, it's not what the Islander, what it was like at the Coliseum or anything, and I know that was never going to happen, but it feels a lot more like the entire thing was cooked up in a marketing boardroom rather than just like, hey, we've got some crazy psychotic fans, let's just turn the music down and see what they come up with, because these are the people that were screaming New York Saints at Bruce Cassidy and throwing beers at Anthony Beauvillier. Like we'll just let them turn the place into a house of horrors. And part of that is, part of the reason it hasn't become that is because the Islanders have not been that successful since they've moved to UBS Arena. So hopefully the season does change that. And I am confident that it will eventually go in that direction. And it could be this homestand because the timing is wonderful for them to be coming home and being in the position they are in the standings. Just they conclude the 6-1 road trip. They're in second place in the Metro, as we were saying. They're right there in terms of the Eastern Conference standings. They're 2 points off the lead in the East. They've passed the Devils. I know they've played more games, but they've passed the Devils, who are starting to fall off a bit. They've passed the Penguins, and they're now coming home for the Black Big Wednesday, Black Friday on either side of Thanksgiving, and then a couple other games. So like this is everyone's home. Everyone's home from college. People are off from work. These are the games where that stuff can really start to come to fruition, and you can start to feel it, and the place can have an identity. But yeah, I think the word we're looking for is soul. You know, there's just the soul hasn't really peeked through the walls of UBS Arena like it did in Nassau Coliseum. You can't just like feel it in the air like you could there, and hopefully, you know, maybe it just needs some age and some grime to it.
Yeah.
To get there, but no, I don't think you're crazy for thinking that way, and I would just advise the team just to take your hands off the wheel and let the fans do a lot of the work, because that's how these things go, right? We don't need to be reminded that the owner of the Islanders also owns the Empire State Building all the time and stuff like that. You know, just let them go. Don't Brett your market. Just
you
know, I don't even know if Nassau, you know, in 2007, if the Islanders had someone who ran the show at Nassau Coliseum, anyone who showed up was like, "Hey, you got any ideas tonight? What should we have Sparky do?" Right? I don't know. Maybe Sparky can sit on a rowboat and pretend to be a pirate. Yeah, and it would work.
Yeah, they need to spend more time and, you know, figuring out what's happening in the ice rink and less time what's going on in Isles Lab. You know,
exactly. We don't need any more partnerships. Isles Lab. Let's just we don't need the influencers, the Isles Lab stuff. Just let's let the boys from Lindenhurst who are showing up after pounding 12 beers on the train just take us home. All right.
Yeah, we're good on collaborations on Isles Lab. Thank you very much. So not a great way to come back, but you know, it was going to happen, but they had a chance to get back right the next day, which is tonight's game, which again was 0-0 throughout all of regulation and overtime. Both Riddick and Joey Decord were terrific. I don't know why people were slagging on Joey Decord. That dude's really good. He's been, and the Kraken are a very, very good defensive team. Joey Decord might end up playing for, they were talking about on the broadcast, he might play for Team USA at the Olympics. He's eligible to play for Team Canada and Team Switzerland at the Olympics. So, but the Switzerland's not going to happen. It takes a while to get there. But there were chances. The Islanders had a lot of chances. They had a lot more jump than they had on Saturday. But just everything went into Decord's glove or his chest. And meanwhile, whenever David Rittich was called upon, he was there. He made 19 saves. He was absolutely outstanding. He was the first star. Decord made 35s. He was great. Again, there were some chances in overtime. That near disaster that you just mentioned where Ryan Pulock had to make a stick save at the end, laying down the ice to prevent somebody from scoring there. In overtime, Barzal, Shabanov, they all had great chances. Shabanov draws a penalty with 18 seconds left. They had one chance. It didn't really go anywhere. But then Horvat, so Freddie Gaudreau scores first in the shootout. You're like, oh, come on, really? We're going to do this? But then in the third round, Horvat ties it up, and then Palmieri wins it in the very next round. Fans definitely needed that win. You could hear it at the end, the catharsis. The people were absolutely, you just said it yourself, like it felt like they were waiting for that. It sounded like an Islanders arena is supposed to sound, but it just took, 65 minutes plus to get there. The two big issues with this game, though, happened actually sort of before it. One is that we found out that JG Pageau is out week to week with an upper body injury, I guess suffered in Saturday's game. I didn't see it, but he's week to week used to mean he was going to be out for 6 months, but now we don't know what week to week means. So hopefully he's back soon. But the problem is that Pageau is a very important member of this team's lineup. He'd been playing great this season. He's ensconced and set in that third line center role. And without him, the lineup was a complete mess. And I'm going to read out these lines here because we may never see them again. And frankly, I hope we never see them again. It was Lee, Barzal, Drouin, Heineman, Horvat, Palmieri, Shabanov, Ritchie, and Holmstrom. And then a new fourth line of Duclair, Cizikas, and Siplikov. After, great game from another fourth line, we get yet another version of the fourth line. Watching this game, I frankly hated every single one of these lines and didn't think any of them worked. I don't know why we're still trying Barzal and Lee. I don't think it works. I didn't think that Cizikas and Duclair worked at all. Trying Ritchie out in the third line center position is fine, but just I don't know. Nothing was really going. Heineman and Horvat together are fine, obviously, but Holmstrom and Barzal, is not fine. It's just the whole thing doesn't work. I don't know what's been going on with Holmstrom. Sometimes he looks great and sometimes he doesn't. But now his major running mate of Pajot is out. Sorry, Holmstrom was with Richie. Again, he was more or less invisible. Shabanov had a good game next to Richie, so maybe they're a pairing, which is nice. Just a lot of it didn't work, and I always feel like Waugh is kind of trying to like fit a lot of square pegs into round holes. Hopefully these lines change, but I feel for him because you take Pajot out of the lineup, and this is a huge problem. So I mean, I don't know who's going with who. Marshall Warren is up, and so he hasn't played yet. I thought he would get into today's game after sitting out Saturday's game, but he's not. Maybe we'll see him in the Bruins game we're going to talk about on the other side of the break. But I think as much as this team is trying, as much as this team has played well this year, they do need to find some sort of lineup that works. And this is the first time they're experiencing injuries this year, and they're going to have to figure it out. And, you know, losing Romanov is not great, but they have options for him. Losing Pajot, though, I mean, this might end up being a real problem. And I don't like it. Not that I like losing anybody, but losing him just made me look at this lineup and be like, I have never seen a game where I didn't like a single line or thought that a single line was going to work at all. And frankly, I mean, if it wasn't for David Riddick, this game might have gone a completely different way. And, you know, I might have hated these lines a little bit more, but I don't know. What'd you think of this one? We talked about it. It's exciting that they won, but like beforehand, this was really on a razor's edge of like, man, if you lose these first two games back after that road trip, I don't know how you come back from that without winning another 7 games in a row or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's what we were talking about with like the stakes they really felt kind of high
Right.
for this game, even though it was against the Kraken and it's like a
Lane
Sunday
Lambert's,
night. Yeah.
Seattle Kraken. Yeah.
Yeah. Lane Lambert, Seattle Kraken. So it felt a little weird to be that like this was the first game that it felt like that, like almost like a playoff light game against the Seattle Kraken. Very weird. Whereas the last 3 seasons, every game was basically a playoff game, as we've talked about the 82 game playoffs that this team forced us through because of the way that they played. So I guess in one way it was nice for the first game of the playoffs not to come until game number 23. So that was good job Islanders on that. And the game itself, it felt pretty clear that the Islanders were just not going to score tonight. Like Joey Decord was obviously on, and Big Save Dave was doing his thing, and it felt very, it felt like they were individuals doing a lot of the work rather than the cohesive team efforts that we were seeing on the road. Like Barzal was really good, Horvat was good, Schaefer obviously was really good, and I thought Adam Pelech was really good tonight. Him and Polak have been a lot better lately on different pairings. So, but yeah, other than that, it didn't feel like anything else was really in sync. And the Pajot injury really just shows you how important this guy is. And it's so funny the way he's talked about that, like, oh, they gotta see what they can get for Pajot. Like that has been a line among Islander fans, not just Islander fans, but the media, the Islanders. Oh, maybe they're probably shopping JG Pajot.
Well, when they fall out of it, they could always move Pajot for a pick or something like that.
Yeah, that's the line. That's the party line, right? It's like a throw. It feels like a very throwaway line because it's very obvious because he's a very versatile player and now he's on a expiring contract. But even before he was on that expiring contract, it felt like he was just always a guy that was in the rumors. JG Pajot, I feel like if you ask people if you heard someone say that to you, it's like, oh, we should trade Pajot and see what we can get for him and just keep building towards the future. If you just answered that statement with saying, how many times do you think JG Pajot has been traded in his career? I feel like that person would be like, I don't know, 6 or 7, right? The Islanders are probably like his 4th or 5th team, right? Like, no, he's been traded once. And he feels like a guy who's been traded so many times because of the way he's talked about. But he's incredibly important to this team. And he has been for even, he wasn't producing in terms of points, goals, and assists for a little while there. And maybe he's banged up, who knows? But he's been so good this season. He was playing at like a 45-point pace. And that third, as you said, the third line role he's a rock on the the penalty kill. He's very effective with Holmstrom.
Mm.
And life without him is a lot more complicated than life with him. And I'm not saying that means they should sign him to the 5-year extension tomorrow, but it just is. It's hard. You always hear this. It's like, it's really hard to go acquire Noah Dobsons, right? Like Noah Dobsons don't just get traded. What are the Islanders thinking? But I mean, it's the same thing with this guy. Like this guy is he's so reliable, and he's barely missed time for the Islanders over the past couple seasons. He missed 3 games last year, played the full 82 the year before that. He missed some time the year before that, but then only 5 before that. So he's only 2 the season before that. He's in the lineup. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's very well liked and respected, obviously. And now they got to figure out a way to go on without him. And as you said, like the bottom half of the lineup now is going to be tough to patch together.
Yeah.
Because I think what we know what we probably can expect out of like the Shabanov experience now, which is this guy is get this guy the puck, you know. It's like, and so you need to put him on a line where he's got line mates who understand that, and that probably means you can't really play him with Matt Barzal as tempting as it is, because what do you want to do with Matt Barzal? Well, you want to get that guy the puck too.
Yeah.
And so I guess in a way it makes sense for him and Richie to be a pair, which is a really funny that it's hockey and life are very funny. It's just like this guy's born in wherever in Russia, somewhere in like the Ural Mountains. Cal Ritchie's coming through Ontario, and now these guys are going to be joined at the hip for a little while, it seems here. So, and as rookies in the NHL for the New York Islanders, even though Ritchie was drafted by the Colorado Avalanche, and scored against the Islanders.
Yeah.
So it's now you got to fit the rest of the pieces together, and there's just I don't really see a way how it's going to work without it looking really creepy.
Yeah.
Duclair, Cizikas, Siplikov is something.
Dude, I don't know what they're going to do with Duclair. I don't know. He doesn't
feel
fit
for it, right?
anywhere.
Like it's the same with I feel for him and Siplikov, because I don't really. Siplikov has had some hairy moments this year, but he was so good last year and so promising that you just I don't know what the answer is there, and they're certainly not gonna. You know what the real problem has been, that Emil Heineman has shown up and just not stopped scoring. Had Emil Heineman scored like 3 goals in his first 16 games, you'd be like, yeah, well, you just swap Duclair with Heineman. Well, unfortunately, Heineman and Horvat are best buddies right now. So yeah, it's but these are good problems to have, because we're talking about, hey, they've got too many good wingers, and that's okay. So you know, it's not our job to sort it out, but I'm more than anything, more than being worried about the lines, is I'm just really excited to see Shabanov continue to play. And you know, because I just assumed we were never going to see him again. I was like, he played, he got hurt. It was kind of mysterious about his injury. Just never going to see. He's going to be a weird Islander, and we're going to joke about him, and he's going to light it up in the KHL and stuff. But yeah, I just want to see more of him. I love seeing like this little guy with the number 49 skating around there. It's just so funny, because 49, when you think about the Islanders, it's been either an insane enforcer or a really little guy wearing the jersey. Like it's been him and Rhett Rukshani. And then the enforcers, it's been Goddard, Mitch Fritz, and Justin Johnson have all worn 49. So, but yeah, it's just, it's a bizarre number. He's got a bizarre haircut. He doesn't show any emotion either. Like he's very stone faced. But he's so much fun to watch. And he was fun to, I mean, he almost, that play made an overtime where he had everybody believing he was going to pass the puck to Matthew Schaefer, because everyone on the Kraken was probably like, I don't know who this guy is with this little goatee, but I know who that guy is over there, the young, really good guy. So if he even looks in his direction, I'm going to assume he's passing him the puck.
Yeah, he just found himself with like a ton of space at one point, and you were like, holy shit, I don't know how he got there, but he's going to score. And again, I think he just barely missed the net wide. So he's a ton of fun to watch. And like I said before, Barzal's been a real madman these last 2 games. He's the one guy who I felt has been out here in both games, just trying to will, maybe Schaefer too, I guess, but like Barzal's been trying to will these games into existence or into wins. And I feel for him too, because I feel like he is, not that he's mad at his teammates, but I feel like he's just out here dying for somebody to get on his wavelength and be that guy. And honestly, right now it's Schaefer. The two of them have great chemistry, but it's not 100% what you want out of your center. You ideally he would have a winger there who can shoot and score. And maybe that guy ends up being Shabanov. I don't know. It's not been Holmstrom because that hasn't really worked out, and it's never going to be Lee. They've been trying this for years and it's never worked. It's been Horvat at times, but now Horvat's got a new best friend in Heineman, as you just said. So maybe it'll be Drouin, and like Drouin's been good too, but like Drouin's not really much of a shooter either. So there's something there. They can find something, but they haven't quite found it yet. But Barzal's going to keep working, and I want him to succeed. I think this is the first time I've been watching him, and I see, because he's been saying this for years, he wants to be in that, Crosby, McDavid, Matthews conversation, and you're always like, yeah, dude, okay. But I think this is the first time he's actually actively trying to really make that happen. Every time he steps on the ice, he's out there leaving it all out there, and that's fantastic to see. But he just doesn't have anybody with him that can help him do that, and he needs somebody who can help him do that. So I hope he finds it. But I have seen your efforts, and I appreciate them, Matt Barzal. So just so you know, yeah, okay. So let's wrap it up there. There's a lot to get to, a lot of games that I honestly had kind of forgotten about the details of a little bit. But at the end of the day, like we said, the Islanders right now are cooking, and the Bruins right now are losing 2-0 in San Jose. So should they lose that game, yeah, the Islanders will be, where they are, where we said before, second in the division, second in the conference, and sixth in the NHL. When we come back on the other side of the break, we will talk about the Bruins again, whose next stop is UBS Arena for a rematch from a couple weeks ago, and then the Black Friday game, and then next Sunday as well. And then we'll get to some maybe good stuff too. So meet us on the other side. Thanks.
And now a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com, and please drink responsibly.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Before we get to the Islanders' upcoming schedule, some housekeeping for us. It is a huge week over at the Patreon. We have a ton of stuff coming out. On Wednesday is my next Islanders book club. It's a book I frankly didn't like all that much, but before you settle in for the Bruins game that night, you can read about that over at the Patreon. That's for Country Club tier subscribers. And then on Friday, we have a brand new Weird Islanders, the podcast. It's a bit of a different episode again, but it's one Mike and I were very excited to discuss, to do, I should say. And we have a guest on that we're both very huge fans of. We do talk about a bunch of guys that we've talked about before, but it'll make more sense when the episode comes out. So that's obviously for everybody on Friday. If you're going shopping, you can don't go shopping on Black Friday at the mall. But if you are, you can take us with you. But that's not all. As I said, a couple of the players in that episode we've talked about before. So at the Patreon, for all paid subscribers, both Country Club tier and Uncle tier, will get not one, not two, but 4 encore episodes of season 1 episodes of Weird Islanders, the podcast, that are about those players that we've already talked about. So this is the first time they've been published commercial free. So if you are a patron, you will get all 4 of these episodes commercial free on Friday. But that's not all, because we also have 2 Weird Islanders extra bonus episodes coming out on that day that are extra conversations we had with our guest for that episode of Weird Islanders. So you've heard about Black Friday, you heard about doorbuster deals. This is our version of a doorbuster. That's 7 pieces of content all coming out on Friday. Just go to the Patreon, sign up, and you can get all of this stuff. And again, enjoy this over Black Friday weekend. Sign up for a free trial and you get all this stuff too. So there you go. The Weird Islanders podcast, I think you'll really like. We had a great time recording. Okay, moving on. This week is a big one for the Islanders as well. Wednesday, they are hosting the Boston Bruins at 7 o'clock. Friday, they are hosting the Philadelphia Flyers at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. And then on Sunday, they are hosting the Washington Capitals at 1 o'clock. These we're going to talk obviously after the Capitals game because it's in the early afternoon. I don't want to put too fine a point on this, but winning all 3 of these games would be great. But I think it all really does come down to that Bruins game. You will all remember they have lost 2 games to the Bruins already this month. The last one was at UBS Arena. It was a game in which they were sort of embarrassed. Their prized rookie got body slammed by a big hulking Russian defenseman who then took to social media to basically call out all Islanders fans in attendance for sitting on their hands for most of the game. They need to win this game and establish themselves as, tell the Bruins, you can't come in here and do that to us anymore. They have already lost to the Flyers in a shootout. They really should win that game too on Friday. And then they've already gone 1-1 against the Caps. So that's another big one. But I would prefer them to win the Bruins game probably most of all, but I don't think they can really afford to drop any of these. What are you thinking? I mean, I hate to put such a fine point on it, like go out and win 3 games, but these are games you definitely don't want to lose.
Well, yeah, and I feel the same way. I heard Cal Clutterbuck say it as well, which is you've done the part where you've established that you're in the mix, like the Islanders are in the mix. We're getting to Thanksgiving. And they're in a place in the standings that I think not even the most optimistic fans would have thought they'd be, especially with the way the schedule is set up. But now is your opportunity to gain some separation, and I think that's part of what you were getting at with Barzal before, which is, I think part of what it is like he kind of recognizes that, yeah, this might not seem like a St. Louis Blues game. After a 6-1 road trip might not seem like a good opportunity. It might be the perfect kick your feet up, rest on your laurels situation. But as we always say, Matt Barzal is an Islander fan. He worries about the same things that we do. And the only thing that squandering a 6-1 road trip like that can happen really fast. And so yeah, I mean, they gotta take care of business now. They're at home. Beatable opponents, all 3 of them, teams that they're competing with in this playoff race that the New York Islanders are in. The Bruins, as you said, like they're 2 points back of the Islanders right now as they're losing to the Sharks. The Flyers are have 3 games in hand, and they're 3 games back, 3 points back, and the Capitals are basically in the same spot as the Flyers. I think they're like they're 4 points back now. So yeah, these are teams that get used to it. Like where scoreboard watching has started. And these are all conference and divisional opponents. The Islanders are at home. The building you hope is going to be rocking. It is bizarre that the Islanders just can't get a string of games in a row where they just play at like 7 p.m. It's just,
right.
It must be maddening for them that they just cannot get even 2 games in a row at a normal time. So we're going 4, 5, 7, 4, 1 to close out November in terms of the time of puck drop. So, but yeah, just go ahead and beat these opponents, man. Like it's if this team is going to be serious about being a playoff team and a contender after that, you got to win these games on home ice. And part of why they're so important is something we always bring up. If you look on the other side of this little 3-game stint,
yeah,
Lightning, Avalanche, Lightning, Panthers, Vegas, Ducks, Lightning. Like this, they have to take care of business here because it can get away from them.
Right.
And so I feel good about it. I feel like the game tonight just kind of puts them right back on track, and they can. I feel confident they'll get the Bruins coming back in a weird schedule spot for them.
Yeah.
Flying back from California, and yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that it's a raucous atmosphere, and they do come out successful this week, because it's they're good. Like they might not be good, but the standings say they're good, and good teams win these games.
Yeah. Well, you know what's got me confident is the goalies have been really good.
Yes.
And the penalty killing has been really good.
Yeah.
We have not talked about the power play in this episode, which has been absolutely dreadful. It looks good. It just doesn't score, which is a very bizarre thing. So we might have to spend some time talking about that at some point. But if your goalies look good and your penalty kill is looking really good, I think you can get some stuff done. And like I said, I'm sure Wa's going to juggle the lines again and try and make some different things work. But they can win these games. Like you said, the Flyers and Caps aren't. The Flyers are in the 8th spot, I think, right now, and the Caps are right there, and who fell down that well from earlier in the season. But as soon as I saw the Bruins there, I was like, they need to show this team. Not that the Bruins are like running the Eastern Conference, but like you can't let Nikita Zadorov come in,
right,
body slam Matthew Schaefer, and then talk shit about you on Twitter or whatever was Instagram. You can't let him do that. Like you just can't. So,
and this is part of like what is got everyone's fangs out and their ears perked up with this team, is that they're showing signs of being the type of team that that won't let that happen. Right. Like the Wah thing, the way the team's jumped anyone who's looked at Schaefer wrong, and they're standing up for one another in a lot of ways that we just didn't see. And I think part of that is just the opponents almost respected the Islanders' behavior too much in previous years. I mean, we remember Paul Maurice famously quipping and complimenting the Islanders for like observing Dmitry Kulikov's 1,000 game ceremony.
Yeah.
Brady Tkachuk talking about how like I can't remember who got hurt for the Senators, but like the Islanders all checked on him, and like he's like, well, that's just like how they are in that room. It's a great culture and all that. And so I think part of it is that other teams didn't pick fights with the Islanders because the Islanders were like the nice older brother. And now everyone seems to hate the Islanders again, which is nice. Like there's been a lot of, the Red Wings. I feel like after every whistle, there's some stuff with obviously with the Bruins and such. So I hope it is like I hope there is some extracurricular stuff with the Bruins and that stuff, because it's if the team truly is galvanized, this would be one that they have circled. Yeah. Not that nothing crazy happened in that game, but definitely something that should stick with them. It's their last chance to get Zadorov back, because they don't play the Bruins again. Hopefully the fans are on him a bit. And as we said after that episode, like Zadorov is a fun character too. So I'm certain he'll be giving it as well. But yeah, just show us. And you keep bringing up the Eastern Conference standings. We'd be remiss if we didn't soak up how the Eastern Conference standings look right now. Not just where the Islanders are, but if you go to the bottom, if you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on the Eastern Conference standings right now, at the foot of the Eastern Conference standing is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's right.
And right above them, in second to last place, of course, is the No BS. the BS vigilantes. These guys are just out there finding bullshit and fighting it on the streets. The New York Rangers. So that's quite nice too. And I think that's adding to the is this really happening feeling, because I'm like, well, there's no way that it can't be this good.
Yeah. I know, right? Well, you know what? So all right, so let's get to the fun stuff. We talked about this beforehand, and you brought up a great angle for this, and so I want to go with that because it gives us a chance to talk about the Rangers real quick. It is Thanksgiving week, so let's talk about things that we're thankful for, and it might as well be the destruction of our enemies, which is, as you said, kind of happening in real time. Maybe destruction is too heavy a word, but they are not having a fun time so far. Whatever we are, it's a quarter of the way or so through the season. We might as well start with the Rangers, who you mentioned are in second to last place in the Eastern Conference. And the reason I want to bring them up is because we can't really do a Ranger piece theater about them this week because their most visible BS, for lack of a better word, was visual this week. And it is, I'm sure you've seen it by now, the great video of JT Miller basically shutting his systems all down so that Vegas can go ahead and score a goal. It was the second goal in their game against Vegas, which they lost. And Miller is on the wall, and the Vegas guy gets away from him, and Miller's just like, I'm good. And he ends up just skating completely straight-legged for a few feet, watching Vegas score a goal. This was glorious. I'm not going to lie. I found myself on the Rangers subreddit reading all this, and some people are very funny. There was a lot of very funny responses there. But this was amazing. It was getting passed around everywhere, and couldn't have happened to a better guy. Mr. No BS himself, just not really care. I saw some people being like, oh, he'd been out there for a minute and a half, or he was hurt. He's been nursing an injury all season. Okay, that's great. But like, when you set yourself up as Captain No BS, you can't do this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, try and fall down, try and make a block, do something. You can't do that. But so we can't really, when you have an audio only podcast, you really can't do anything with this type of information. But I will say I very much enjoyed that clip, and I hope we see many, many more goals scored against the Rangers just like that all season long. Surely you probably saw this before I did. And it's like the funniest thing I've seen all this part of the season so far.
Yeah, but I'm very thankful for JT Miller being on the Rangers and being named captain. And what's been wonderful about it is that when it happened, when the Rangers traded for JT Miller, and then when they named him captain, everybody was like, this is exactly what the Rangers need. This is the type of personality they need. They need someone who's just win at all costs, doesn't care what people think about him. All he cares about is winning, because he's Mr. No BS. All the BS can stay out of the room. Inside the room, all we care about is winning. And how do you win games? Yeah, just unplug the controller and let the Vegas Golden Knight winger walk all over you, baby. And yeah, so he's definitely not all talk.
Yeah,
that JT Miller. He backs up his action. He backs up his words with his actions. And nobody could have saw this one coming.
Right.
And it's such a great indictment on just the way that every move is covered in the NHL. It's the biggest, the best, no matter what the trade is. Alex Galchenyuk is fixed by the Maple Leafs. It's always there's never like we'll see how this works out. This is exactly what this original six team needs. This is an original six captain on an original six team. And we hear him all the time, the way he talks, and we believe him. He's certainly not, his reputation definitely doesn't precede him. That's crazy. I believe JT Miller when he says that no BS. And yeah, it's been all BS, honestly. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that the first quarter of the Rangers season has just been all BS. And it's a good shirt for them to maybe wear. It's just they can just say all BS. And so yeah, congrats to JT Miller for that unbelievable clip. And it couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yeah. surely there are some enterprising Rangers fans, or perhaps enterprising Islanders or Devils fans, that will make an all BS t-shirt with the Rangers, like, font and stuff like that on it. That would be amazing. Much like JT Miller's no BS shirts that he came rolling into camp with. But yeah, that was some BS. Like, again, you got to be aware of this kind of stuff, man. But anyway, that was the clip of the week. So seek it out again. Rangers Vegas, second goal. I think it was Mitch Marner. I think it wasn't Mitch Marner.
Why don't we give Mitch? But we'll give Mitch. Yeah. We'll give, even if it wasn't Mitch, he can win the Vanda Pharmaceutical Shot of the Week.
Thing is taking on a life of its own. But anyway, so that's we're thankful for JT Miller's BS so far this season. But another thing we're thankful for is Nick Kypreos, who I can't believe has turned into a voice who I want to hear talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. You want to talk about a no BS guy?
Yes.
Kipper is the no BS guy for the Leafs, because he doesn't take in any of this stuff. And there is also some BS going on up north, because Austin Matthews is gone. He's hurt. He's out for a while. And as Kipper wrote in the Toronto Star, and I'll put a link to this in the article for this, this is not anything new for Austin Matthews. If you remember last year, in November, he just took off for Germany to get, quote, overall body work, which sounds like, what would be happening to his car, but it was to actually him. Nobody knows what happened. He came back, played okay, I guess. And obviously we all know what happened to the Leafs later on. And now we are back to a time when Matthews is just gone. He doesn't like talking about his injuries. He doesn't really like talking to the press. He didn't want to talk about the Mitch Marner thing in the summertime. We laughed about that too. And I think things are pretty bad out there. And they were talking about this on Real Kipper and Bourne show. And it's just, this guy doesn't seem to like being captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He doesn't like being the face of the Leafs. I don't think he likes being one of the faces of the NHL. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how much he likes actually playing hockey, because he seems to try and find ways to not do that as often as he can. So I'm very thankful for any Leaf strife, obviously, but this season has been a lot of fun. They lost to the Canadiens on Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada in Montreal. Definitely go out and check out the Leafs Talk episode from after that was over on Sportsnet, because at the end, Sam McKee, who is the producer and the third chair on Real Kipper and Bourne, is like, I hate playing the Habs, man. I just hate playing them. I hate playing them on Saturday nights on Hockey Night in Canada. It happens every single time. And it was good. It was good. I feel for him, because, that's how I felt about playing the Rangers for a long time. But it's not good. It's not good up there. It could change. You never know. But right now, quarter way through the season, it's not good for the Leafs. It's, things could change. They could still make the playoffs. But, so far, this has been very entertaining for Leafs haters such as you and I.
Yeah, very, very thankful for Nick Kypreos and for the start of the season for the Leafs.
Yeah.
What's been wonderful about the Kipper Matthews stuff is when the Leafs had to change something. They had to make a move, and we can't keep bringing back this core four, even though that's what we said the summer before and the summer before and the summer before and the summer before. There's no way that this same team comes back. And then the Leafs decided that the big change they were going to make was they were going to strip the captaincy from lifelong Leaf, apparently, John Tavares, and give it to Austin Matthews. And everybody was like, this is the right move. This is the type of change they need. It's clearly not. Tavares' game is dwindling. It's not his team anymore. It's Austin Matthews' team. And that change, of course, happened before last season. And what has happened, I should say, while everyone else was praising the move, as I was alluding to before, because every move you make in hockey is the biggest and the best, and gets an A+ trade grade, unless you're trading Bo for Bo Horvat, who scores all the time for the Islanders. That's a lose-lose. But the only person who was like, I don't know about this, this probably isn't what Matthews is built for, was one Nick Kypreos. And everybody was like, you're being crazy. Like, you're the only, of course you want to be the contrarian guy, like whatever, and shitting on him. But he was like, no, I don't think Austin wants to have the responsibility that you'd have as a captain of a hockey team in the NHL that's organizing team dinners, organizing team functions, travel arrangements, picking up the new guy that you just traded for, picked up on waivers at the airport, and like showing him around and explaining to people to that person who people are in the media, who to look out for, and a lot of stuff that comes with that responsibility of wearing the captaincy. And so in Austin's first year as captain, he flees to Germany. Goes from 69 goals, best player ever, to whatever 30 something, and has a down year. And then in his second year as captain, he just basically, as you said, just kind of disappears and doesn't want to play hockey anymore. And that's just been one of the great storylines that's been going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who Luke Fox jukebox has finally seemed to raise some panic about their play after that loss to the Canadiens. The first 5 losses in a row were okay, because as you had a great clip, a screenshot of the the Sportsnet homepage after they lost to Columbus, I believe.
Yes.
That was their 5th loss in 6 games, and it was like Nick Robertson emerging as leader for Maple Leafs. Easton Cowan has arrived. Leafs lose in shootout. But so Luke Fox he gave a full indictment of their performance against the Canadiens on Hockey Night in Canada the other night. And it's really been enjoyable to watch, and seeing the Leafs and the Rangers struggle in the exact fashion that you were like, the comeuppance that we've been waiting for is coming, and it's kind of all the things we were hoping was going to hit them. The Rangers running guys out of town for no good reason. The Leafs running another guy, also running someone out of town, and then blaming each other. Like, who ran Mitch Marner out of town? What the media thinks it was the fans thinks it was the Leafs, and the Leafs think it was the media. And it was actually all of you guys decided to run this very good player out of town and make his life miserable. And so to see them have this comeuppance in this fashion has been wonderful, but it's been confusing my brain, because I'm like, okay, so the Islanders are doing really well right now, and these two teams are getting what they deserve. What's going on here? And it's so it's my brain is trying to work on that and come to grips with it. But maybe it's just all kind of being patient with all of this and living through the suffering of watching the obviously what happened with Tavares, and then the Rangers going to Eastern Conference Finals because they don't play any starting goalies for months on end, and you're like, well, this better be worth it in the end, and maybe it will be. We'll see.
Yeah. I will say this too, and as loath as I am to praise the previous Leafs captain, of course, of John Tavares, I will say that this whole episode with Matthews has made me realize why. I mean, obviously I'm not stupid. I know why they feel this way about him, but it's pretty obvious why people in Toronto care very much about John Tavares, and why they get so mad at Islanders fans who treat him so poorly still all these years later. Me, frankly, I will never stop treating him poorly. But when they need a quote after the Leafs have dropped 5 games in a row, who do they go to? They go to John Tavares. When they need to ask a question about the latest rookie who got called up and where his place might be in the lineup, who do they go to? They go to John Tavares. When they have a question about, what they're going to change before the next game, who do they go to? John Tavares. This guy, as much as we may hate him for what he's done to us, and he's obviously having a great year on the ice too, take nothing away from him doing that, he serves an incredibly valuable purpose to this never-ending throng of reporters that is constantly hungry for more stuff and rooting through people's trash, as we're always saying, and he gives them what they need. And so, and I'm sure he does it with a smile on his face. And I mean, these quotes are never good, but he's always there. And so it's funny to me that he's not the captain, but he kind of almost is, because the real captain isn't there. And when he is there, he doesn't want to fucking talk to these people. So it's just so funny to me that he's almost more valuable now than he was when he was the captain. Because now they get, so I just found it very funny that I was I see, not that I didn't before, but his value to them is even more clear now to me than it was even before, because the real captain, the guy you really want to talk to, he's not there. And the coach, by the way, they asked Craig Berube, hey, what's going on with wasn't Matthews? I think it was Joseph Wall. Maybe it was Matthews. Like, hey, when's he coming back? He's like, I don't know. Nobody tells me.
Yeah. He's like, I saw him shooting. He looked all right.
Yeah. He's not getting anything from the coach either. The only guy who's giving you anything is the guy who was the captain. Like, so
well, that's the beauty of it. Yeah. Like that's why it's been so wonderful to watch the demise of our former captain and the guy that we drafted before, Victor Hedman, because they stripped him of the captaincy and gave it to a guy who probably would have been like, please don't do this.
Right.
and that's his legacy right now, is that he wasn't able to win in the playoffs despite having a team built of superstar talent where he was the final piece, got named the captain, was mercilessly booed by his former team, and then got stripped of the captaincy to be handed to a terrible captain. You weren't good enough to be our captain. So, you did such a poor job of it that we're going to give it to this guy and hope that, and we're all going to celebrate this move.
Yeah.
And
we're going to put your kids in his jerseys.
Yeah. And it's going to be, and in 18 months, we're all just going to still act like you're the captain and pretend that we're going to pretend this isn't awkward at all. Like it's yeah.
It's too funny.
And the only one, by the way, once again, the only one who's like pointing this stuff out here and there is Kipper.
Right.
He's like re-signing this guy, being Tavares, was like, this was probably a mistake because he's doing everything you're asking him for, and the team isn't winning. Right. And so it's been, I mean, a really enjoyable quarter of the season. You know, we joke a lot that when playoffs come and if the Islanders are in it, we're really fighting a war on three fronts, because you got the Islanders series. The Rangers are playing against Louis Domingue or Dustin Tokarski over there on the Eastern Front, and then of course the Leafs in the Northern Front. And but right now we're advancing in those fronts pretty handily here. Yeah, we're riding on the back of Jeeps, watching the prisoners of war get taken away. It's been really, really nice. So I don't ever want to get ahead of ourselves. We're pretty careful about doing it, but we'd really be not doing our jobs if we weren't celebrating and saying that we're, this is Thanksgiving. We need to say that we're thankful for how things have gone over there and enjoy it while it's going on.
Definitely. And with that in mind, and you bring up Louis Domingue, a perfect segue here. We might be, testing things a little bit, but again, it's the holidays. Thanksgiving is also about not only just giving thanks, but abundance, lots of food, lots of football, lots of, putting up Christmas decorations, buying gifts for your friends on Black Friday. It's all about abundance and over stimulation. And so why not, have some fun with the Penguins, who are only a couple of points behind the Islanders, but right now, as we speak, on the outside looking in. And we couldn't let this one go. So we're going to do, it's been a long time, and it's too long, frankly. We're going to do this in style with a brand new edition of Master Penn's Theater. Mike, this was something you sent to me, and I actually tracked this down, and it's an article from actually this exact same time last year, November 29th, 2024. It is from The Athletic. It's by Rob Rossi, who I don't think we've ever done a Master Penn's Theater on. Maybe we have. I'm not sure. We haven't done that many of these. And if we haven't, well, we're making up for lost time here. And it involves a player who was just picked up by the Penguins at that time, a guy named Philip Tomasino, a winger who was playing for Nashville. And the title of this Rob Rossi article from November 29th, 2024 at The Athletic is Kyle Dubas bet on Philip Tomasino pays off. Pays off how? Well, he scored a goal. That's it. He scored a goal. This is what Rossi writes a little bit down. He goes, while it's way too early to label the acquisition of Philip Tomasino a win for Kyle Dubas, it's fair to point out that Evgeny Malkin has needed a winger since resuming second-line center duties, and Tomasino has played on Malkin's wing the past 2 games. Who knows if Tomasino will remain in that role, but he has a chance if he could do more of what he did on Friday night in Boston. Score. And then a few paragraphs down, finding Malkin a complimentary winger is necessary, the right thing to do, and an ongoing process. If Tomasino can make some magic with his renewed lease on life with the Penguins, nobody will look better than Dubas. No player may be happier about it than Malkin. I mean, keeping Kyle and Gino happy. That's what it's all about, right, guys? It's all about keeping these big boys happy. Well, that was beautiful. And again, that was from November 29th, 2024. Let's fast forward to November 18th, 2025. And this comes from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. And I'm just going to read the title of the article that's up here. This is by Dan Kingerski. And it's just 6 words. It says, Penguins cut bait, wave Philip Tomasino. So in the span of a year, this young man went from being the perhaps future running mate of future Hall of Famer Evgeny Malkin to having been cut bait on and waived. And I think he just went down to Wilkes-Barre. So it's not even that like, well, they got to trade him or they cut bait. Like that's the worst thing. Like when you're put on waivers, like that really sucks. But man, when they say they cut bait on you, woof, that just means that you're just chum in the water, man. You're just you're shark bait. Like that's bad. But anyway, I thought that was a wonderful 2-step by you that you sent me, and I'm like, oh man, we got to do that.
Very grateful for Philip Tomasino.
Yes.
And Barry Trotz. Yeah, when that trade was made, everyone was like, highway robbery by Dubas, getting this guy from Trotz. And of course, like it's hard to defend the job that Trotz has done as a GM so far. But I remember being like, Philip Tomasino? Like we're it's because Kyle Dubas traded for him. So obviously,
right.
if it's him or Tulsky, it's going to be a victory lap before. And so we got the victory lap from Rob Rossi before anything, and a year later he's gone, and which is this was something that we saw quite a bit. I think that's what made me so happy seeing this was when Kyle Dubas would claim somebody on waivers in Toronto, immediately 6 different writers at The Athletic their gears would start going. Josh Cloak was on assignment. He's flying out to wherever the hell in Manitoba to meet the great aunt of Nick Abruzzese or whoever the Leafs just plucked off waivers in a coup from the Ducks. He's talking to his great aunt James Myrtle is writing how the Leafs fixed Nick Abruzzese or Alex Steves or whoever.
Alex Galchenyuk.
Alex Galchenyuk, of course, the famous. He's fixed. He was fixed, I think, twice. Actually, and then because they plucked him twice. Aaron Dell, the third goalie, was a genius move per Myrtle. So there's only one guy who gets this. Like when the Islanders were basically picking up the junkyard D, as we called it last year, with Boquist and Mike Riley before that, and Scooter Perunovic. It was just like, oh, the Islanders picked up this guy. Okay, we'll see how it goes. And but when Dubas does something like this, it's it's something special. And I this is by accident. I was I Googled Kyle Dubas to see if there were any new pictures of him, because there were so many pictures of him in Toronto, and there was just like he was always walking and on the phone, or he had like a lanyard on that was blowing in the wind, and his glasses. And I saw an article by Josh Yohe from the end of October that I'm going to bookmark in case the Penguins continue their fall. But in this article, there's just this line. I'm not going to give any context to it, but it just says, despite all of his success in Toronto, and he's referring to Dubas. So I don't know what he's talking about, but we'll find out maybe on another edition of Master Penn's Theater. That'll be the scenes from next week, because this article is brimming with stuff that we can jump on later. But really that line stuck out to me. Despite all of his success in Toronto, They're still celebrating all that success up there. A lot of banners up there for Kyle.
You know who may report on all that success is not the Penguins and not the Leafs. I forgot there was a part here in this Pittsburgh Hockey Now article. So this was about, the Philip Tomasino waiving. And the second line is, the league's broadcast rights holders reported the move as the Penguins do not usually announce waiver moves. Excuse me? They don't announce waiver moves? There was like 15 guys on Twitter that's their job, is to like announce waiver moves. So you can withhold that information if you want, Kyle, but it's going to get out. And again, we play this game a lot, but if that line said the league's broadcast rights holders reported the move as the Islanders do not usually announce waiver moves, there would be like pitchforks and torches at the front gates saying that, we got to get this old bastard Lou Lamoriello out of office right now. So I saw that and was like, come on, really? Like, dude. Yeah. So, okay, he can do it, but nobody else can. So that's great. Anyway.
Yep. When he does it, it's forward thinking and progressive. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even though there's 800 people on Twitter, that's all they do is they wait for the waiver stuff. Then they put it out. Everybody goes, oh, that guy's on waivers. Can't wait for my team to pick him up. Anyway, there you go. So yes. So we're thankful for all of these things. We're thankful for our enemy's downfall. Hopefully it continues. And we are thankful for you, for listening to this show, for supporting us on Patreon, for supporting us all these years. We're almost up to 350 episodes, which is pretty crazy. We thank you for listening to this episode. Not my best, to be perfectly honest with you, but we have a ton more coming up this week, again, at the Patreon, but also not just that, but Weird Islanders podcast coming out on Friday. It's a great one. We really enjoyed it. We had a ton, so we ended up with 2 bonus episodes, and then we have the encore episodes also for patrons as well to catch up on the guys that we already talked about. Again, it'll make a lot more sense. We don't usually do reruns of Weird Islanders, but this will make a lot of sense when it comes out. So check that out. Sign up at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for the usual commercial-free episodes, bonus shows, written posts, chats, and everything else. Or you can just sign up for free, get our weekly release calendar, or try a 7-day free trial of the Country Club tier. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion. Islanders Anxiety podcasts are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Find us wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Please leave us a review where you can, and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Shop VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project, especially if you're buying Christmas gifts or having Christmas parties. Both of these places are going to come in real handy. So VintageIceHockey.com and the Pinot Project. Mike, any final thoughts on the very busy, very emotional week that was, and the potentially huge week that's coming up alongside this very fun holiday that we are going to try and enjoy it as well?
No, it's just very thankful for all of this, the Islanders Anxiety podcast, and I'm also thankful that we got to continue talking about the Islanders winning games for the most part, and didn't have to deal with the awkwardness of being like, well, that road trip was great, but hopefully that's a sign of things to come. I'm very excited to see where the new attitude that the team seems to have will take us with the WA stuff, and obviously the way they've been sticking up for Schaefer. So I'm just excited to watch the Islanders. I'm excited to watch Max Shabanov, and so I'm thankful for that too.
Thankful for Max Shabanov. Thankful for Matthew Schaefer, obviously.
Yes.
Thank you for
That goes without saying.
Seriously. And again, thankful for all of your listenage and your support. We really appreciate it. And we will be back next week, same time next week, to recap what goes on in these next 3 games. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.